This is going to be part 2 of Something Big Has Been Here. I am a ghost who lost his boo. I am a ghost who's lost his boo. My boo is gone from me, and I'm without a single clue to where my boo might be. It makes me mope, it makes me pout, it makes me moan. A ghost is not a ghost without a boo to call its own. My boo was piercing, fierce, and loud. I used to strut and boast, for I was positively proud to be a gruesome ghost. But now that I am without my boo, I find it rather weird. There's little for a ghost to do whose boo has disappeared. Although I hover here and there and haunt 100 rooms, it seems there's no one I can share unless my boo resumes. I am a ghost who's lost his boo, alas, a boo I lack. If you should find my boo, then you had better give it back. Last night I dreamed of chickens. There were chickens everywhere. They were standing on my stomach. They were nesting in my hair. They were pecking at my pillow. They were hopping on my head. They were ruffling up their feathers as they raced around my bed. They were on the chairs and tables. They were on the chandeliers. They were roosting in the corners. They were clucking in my ears. There were chickens for as far as I could see. When I woke up today, I noticed there were eggs on top of me. My brother built a robot. That does not exactly work. As soon as it was finished, it began to go berserk. Its eyes grew incandescent, and its nose appeared to gleam. It bellowed unbenignly, and its ears emitted steam. My brother built the robot to help us clean our room. Instead, it ate the dustpan and attacked us with the broom. It pulled apart our pillows, it disheveled both our beds. It took a box of crayons, and it doodled on our heads. That robot seemed resentless as it tied our socks in knots, then clunked into the kitchen and dismantled pans and pots. The thing was not behaving in the fashion we had planned. It clanked into the bathroom and it filled the tub with sand. We tried to disconnect it, but it was to no avail. It picked us up and dropped us in an empty garbage pail. We cannot stop that robot, for we are stymied by one hitch. My brother didn't bother to equip it with a switch. An auk in flight. An auk in flight is sheer delight. It soars above the sea. An auk on land is not so grand. An auk walks awkwardly. Fenton Fails is fairly weird. He puts peanuts in his beard. Elephants are often found following Fenton Fails around. My uncle looked me in the eye. About an hour ago. He said, "There are some things I think you'd better know. Do not throw bricks at bumblebees or grab a grizzly bear, and never tug a tiger's tail or pull a panther's hair. Don't wrestle with a rattlesnake. Don't ask a skunk to fight. Don't irritate an elephant or tempt a lion to bite. Don't scuffle with a buffalo or tease electric eels. Don't interrupt piranhas at their underwater meals. Don't tickle a gorilla or invite a shark to smile. Don't hug a hippopotamus or kiss a crocodile. Don't ridicule a rhino or provoke a porcupine. I followed his advice so far, and I am doing fine." Grasshopper gumbo, iguana tail tarts, toad a la mode, pickled pelican parts, elephant gelatin, frog fricoske, puree platypus, boiled bumblebee, porcupine pudding, steamed centipede skins, squid sucker sundaes, fried flying fish fins, meadow mouse morsels, cracked crocodile crunch. The school's cafeteria serves them for lunch. The rains in little dribbles. The rains in little dribbles are the sort one rarely sees. Every Thursday it pours cola, Friday showers herbal teas. Early Saturday a sprinkle of sweet cider fills the air. Then on Sunday sarsaparilla soaks the citizens' citizenry there. Monday morning mocha malted softly saturate the town, while on Tuesday lemon droplets drizzle delicately down. But the rain that rains on Wednesday is watermelon tide, so the folks in little dribbles spend their Wednesdays safe inside. Today I shall powder my elephant's ears. Today I shall powder my elephant's ears and paint his posterior red. I'll trim all his toenails with suitable shears and place a toupee on his head. Tonight I shall tie a balloon to his tail and wrap him in feathers and furs. Then fasten his necktie and velveteen veil and put on his boots and his spurs. There'll be a warm smile on my elephant's face as we're welcomed to Pachydermy Hall to dance until daybreak with elegant grace at the elephant's masquerade ball. A remarkable adventure. I was at my bedroom table with a notebook open wide when a giant anaconda started winding up my side. I was filled with apprehension and retreated down the stairs to be greeted at the bottom by a dozen grizzly bears. We tumultuously tussled till I managed to get free. Then I saw with trepidation there were tigers after me. I could feel them growing closer. I was quivering with fear. Then I blundered into quicksand and began to disappear. I was rescued by an eagle that descended from the skies to embrace me with its talons to my terror and surprise. But that raptor lost its purchase when a blizzard made me sneeze, and it dropped me in a thicket where I battered both my knees. I was suddenly surrounded by a troop of savage trolls, who maliciously informed me they would toast me over coals. I was lucky to elude them when they briefly looked away. That's the reason why my homework isn't here with me today. Squirrels. Squirrels often found in parks have tails resembling question marks. It's just coincidental, though. There's little squirrels care to know. Kitty ate a baked potato. Kitty ate a baked potato strolling through the mews in her yellow elevator alligator shoes. That was Kathy's last potato she did not survive. Her elevator alligator shoes were still alive. The addle-padded paddlepuss. The addle-padded paddlepuss is agile as a cat. Its neck is long and limber, and its face is broad and flat. It moves with skill and vigor, with velocity and grace, as it spends its every second playing ping-pong with its face. The addle-padded paddlepuss prevails in every game. Its opponent doesn't matter, the result is all the same. With its supersonic smashes and its convoluted sprints, it demolishes all comers and invariably wins. The addle-padded paddlepuss is with effervescent verve, follows innovative volleys with a scintillating serve. If you're fond of playing ping pong and would like to lose in style, the addle-padded paddlepuss will serve you for a while. Oh my lord. I don't know why that was so hard to say. The zoo was in an uproar. The rabbits stamped their feet. The pigs expressed displeasure. The gnus refused to eat. Disgraceful, gabbed the gibbons. Barbaric, boomed a bear. Distressing, wept a leopard. The ferrets fumed. Unfair. Repellent, pulled a puma. Bizarre, a badger bawled. The donkeys were disgusted. The pandas were appalled. The camels ran for cover. A turtle fled her shell. The seals stayed underwater. A walrus felt unwell. How wicked, whined a weasel. Uncalled for, cawed the crows. The tigers lost their tempers. A polecat held his nose. Unseemly, screamed the eagles. The lions roared with wrath. The day the hippopotamus forgot to take a bath. Oh, poor guy. Twaddle talk tuck. I'm twaddle talk tuck, and I talk and I talk, and I talk when I run, and I talk when I walk, and I talk when I hop, and I talk when I creep, and I talk when I wake, and I talk when I sleep, and I talk when it's wet, and I talk when it's dry, and I talk when I laugh, and I talk when I cry, and I talk when I jump, and I talk when I land, and I talk when I sit, and I talk when I stand, and I talk into everyone's ear, and I talk when there's nobody near, and I talk when I'm hoarse, and my voice is a squawk, for I'm twaddle, talk, tuck, and I talk and I talk. Slow Sloth's Song. I am a sloth am I. I live in trees, but I can't fly. I do not run. I am so slow, but I am where I want to go. Screwed that up, but that would have been cool if I had gotten that right. My mother made a meatloaf. My mother made a meatloaf that provided much distress. She tried her best to serve it, but she met with no success. Her sharpest knife was powerless to cut a single slice, and her efforts with a cleaver failed completely to suffice. She whacked it with a hammer and she smacked it with a brick, but she couldn't face that meatloaf. It remained without a nick. I decided I would help her and assailed it with a drill, but the drill made no impression, though I worked with all my skill. We chipped at it with chisels, but we didn't make a dent. It appeared my mother's meatloaf was much harder than to mend. Then we set upon that meatloaf with a hatchet and an axe, but that meatloaf stayed unblemished and withstood her fierce attacks. We borrowed bows and arrows and we fired at close range. It didn't make a difference, for that meatloaf didn't change. We beset it with a blowtorch, but we couldn't find a flaw, and we both were flabbergasted when it broke the power saw. We hired a hippopotamus to trample it around, but that meatloaf was so mighty that it simply stood its ground. Now we manufacture meatloafs by the millions all year long. They are famous in construction, building houses tall and strong. We are know-nothing neebies. We are know-nothing neebies with nothing to say and certain to say it without a delay. We're perfectly pompous, indelibly dense. We haven't a trace of a semblance of sense. We're know-it-all neebies, know-nothing neebies, complacent and proud. The things we don't know we proclaim very loud. From summer to winter, from spring until fall, we daily display we know nothing at all. We're know-nothing neebies, invincibly vain, distinguished by pates, with no service for a brain. You cannot avoid us, we've never been rare. Just look all around you. We're found everywhere. True. True. Unfortunately. Who pulled the plug in my ant farm? Who pulled the plug in my ant farm? Who let my ants get away? Their tunnels are almost deserted. I'm having a miserable day. They've gathered in groups in the corners. They're swarming all over the floor. For each one I get in my clutches, there seem to be 24 more. I'm doing my best to corral them. I doubt that I'll ever be done. There's nothing as hard to recapture as hundreds of ants on the run. My mother found ants in her slippers. My sister found ants in her shoes. They got into my father's pajamas. He bellowed, "I'm blowing a fuse!" Some have invaded the kitchen. They've started attacking our food. My mother is shrieking in horror, and I'm in a horrible mood. Who pulled the plug in my ant farm and festering our home with those pets? I have the unhappy suspicion that ants are our permanent guests. Today I'm going yesterday. Today I'm going yesterday as quickly as I can. I'm confident I'll do it. I've devised a clever plan. It involves my running backwards at a constant rate of speed. If I'm mindful of my timing, I'll undoubtedly succeed. Today I'm going yesterday. I'm moving very fast, as I'm putting off the future for the rather recent past. I can feel the present fading as I hastily depart, and I look forward to arriving on the day before I start. Today I'm going yesterday, I'm slipping out of sight, and anticipate I'll vanish just a bit before tonight. When I reach my destination, I'll compose a note to say that I'll see you all tomorrow, which of course will be today. There's no one as slow as Saloma. There's no one as slow as Saloma. Saloma's unbearably slow. It takes her as long to eat breakfast as it takes a tomato to grow. She sits in the kitchen all morning and nibbles a morsel of bread. She dawdles so long at the table, it's time to get ready for bed. There's no one as slow as Saloma. Her pace makes molasses seem fast. She once raced a snail and a turtle and finished a definite last. She never does anything quickly, but inches along at a crawl. One winter, she sat on a splinter and didn't shout ouch until fall. Don't yell at me. Don't yell at me, don't yell at me, I hate it when you do. It makes me feel so miserable, I want to run from you. I simply cannot stand it when you scream into my ear. If I knew how to do it, I'd completely disappear. Don't yell at me, I'll crawl away and hide. I'll detonate to smithereens or shrivel up inside. Feel free to thumb your nose at me or wiggle all your toes or even ring a bell at me, but please, 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 don't yell at me.